so plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of testimony. Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church stand or fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Moroni chapter 10, verses 3 through 5, correctly interpreted, needs to focus on having faith in Christ. He will manifest the truth of it. And so, to harmonize the doctrine in the Book of Mormon, you need to then go to Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. All Mormons know this. This is scripture mastery. This is covered in seminary, covered in institute. I'm sure it will be covered this year for Come Follow Me. Now we will compare the word unto a seed. Now, if you give place that a seed may be planted in your heart. Heart is for feelings, right? You have to believe and feel the seed, the word, is true. Go back to Moroni again. Manifest the truth after faith. So what does seed produce after you plant it? A tree with fruit. That's the manifestation of a seed. It is a physical representation of the results of the Word. That is the doctrine of the Book of Mormon. That was supposed to be Joseph Smith's doctrine in this church that claims to be from Joseph Smith and have the Book of Mormon as the keystone. So somewhere somebody went oopsie and caused the majority of the whole church to go astray from the core doctrine. And all I did was study my scriptures and put it into application. And so as the scriptures, all the scriptures, not just the Book of Abraham, it talks about space, the final frontier. These are the voyages. And so yes, not only was I watching Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars and Sliders and Lost in Space, etc., etc., etc. I also wanted to learn astronomy so that I can understand the scriptures. Just as I wanted to learn Greek, Hebrew, and Egyptian to understand my scriptures. This is what study is. This is how you produce the fruit of the word. I wanted good soil, not thorny, rocky, or wayside soil. You do know where that comes from. That's also part of scripture mastery and is taught in seminary and Sunday school and institute and blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing anything new. And that's the problem that I'm facing here, is that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not teaching you this simple, basic how to learn from the Scriptures. And as a result, Mormons get divided into two camps. They either have a positive feeling that it's true, or a negative feeling that it's false. But the Word has been corrupted with a different interpretation than the learning of the Jews. And so Mormons who get the bad feeling about the corrupted word of Christianity interpretation continue to do videos and spread comments about how that false interpretation is awful and horrible and evil and such. And the Brigham Young trap is that he blamed and accused Joseph of everything that he himself was doing and wanted to get away with. And so all of the critics who had the bad feeling about polygamy or looking at a rock in a hat or financial failure, money digging, whatever, it's all based on the bad seed that the church has been lying about since Brigham Young. Knowing the real church history will help clear things up, but it's not necessary for understanding what the Book of Mormon is telling us, because Joseph Smith Sr. had to rewrite the 116 pages. That is established fact. Mormons who use Christian interpretation live in denial land, along with critics who had the negative feeling. No, it had to be Joseph. Joseph is a fraud. It's Joseph who did it. And so part of Jewish Kabbalah that I went over with you yesterday is astronomy, knowing the signs in the heavens. And so it was perfect timing to get this in the mail, because the ancients made calendars based on the movements of the celestial bodies as we see it from Earth. And it's a precise calculation, and it's supported with calculus, astronomy, physics, which means it is proven. When the prophets give you a star date, they are giving you something that is proven to occur through the math. And with religion wanting to destroy science and send us back into the Dark Ages after the Enlightenment, it's no wonder that I'm having difficulty reaching both Mormons and critics who have been taught to deny science by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because the Book of Mormon, right here at the beginning, gives us the beginning of the latter days with a star date using astronomy. This is the manifestation of the truth. To learn astronomy, to know the date. Joseph Smith Sr. knew this date. Now, Mormons would say that this is, well, a prophecy, if they finally agree that the Book of Mormon is learning of the Jews and Joseph Smith Sr. is the major author. Because now we go to this next level of understanding real church history. And critics would complain, no, he's a false prophet. Wrong. William Morgan, 9/11/1826. That's the birth of the Book of Mormon. William Morgan found out the secret plot to destroy America, which they were using the biblical star dates of prophecy to fulfill it as the bad guys. And they are succeeding. And it looks hopeless because I can't convince anybody in the church to leave the church so that we can go build Zion. This is the Exodus pattern that is in the Book of Mormon, because the Christ is the Jewish Christ from Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19, who's a man like Moses. So Exodus is the prophecy pattern of all prophecies. All the prophecies utilize the Exodus account for their revision. And so instead of Passover, Christians turned the Gospels into Passion Week. Passion Week was the Gospel author's version of the man like Moses of the latter days. Had nothing to do with real, not real Jesus. It's an anachronism to go back in time and impose current changes into the past. You can't do that. If Christianity did not exist before Constantine, neither did literal history Jesus. And same with the Book of Mormon. If it's in the learning of the Jews, therefore it's not literal history. Nephi, Lehi, Alma, Abinadi, none of them are real. Not even Jesus, who makes an appearance in 3 Nephi 11 with, a star date. Interesting. And so the Book of Mormon, because of 9/11/1826, had to be encoded. They couldn't come right out and say, the Illuminati have infiltrated the Scottish Rites here in America, and there will most likely be those who will join our church because they found out that we exposed them, and the reporter reported it and caused the Freemason temples to be burned, and they want revenge now. And so our lives are in danger. And so we're warning you that in the latter days, on the 23rd of September 2017, they'll put a president on the throne with the help of a foreign government. Jumping ahead, aren't I? Yeah, they can't do that. They've got to encode it. And so, the beginning of the Book of Mormon, we start off with the first year of the usurped king. I hear a lot of those out here in this part of the town. And I shouldn't. But, oh well. Too much death and destruction going on these days that I'm hearing in the news. And so, this is not literal history. He already told us in verse 2. We were told by Joseph Smith in the introduction, it's not a literal history. It's written by way of prophecy and revelation. It's not literal history. Prophecy and revelation is not literal history. They use characters and places and events from history to twist them into prophecy for the latter days. And that's why science cannot establish the truth of literal history claims of the Bible and the Book of Mormon. Ta-da, critics. And so the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah was 597 BCE. That's established even though there was a debate between two scholars, and I typically, because I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, I don't give credibility to William Foxwell Albright, but on this particular date, he's correct over the other guy who wanted it to be 596 or 8. Was it 6 or 8? Can't remember now. Anyway, it's 597. And it has to do with the knowledge that Joseph Smith Sr. had because of what's coming up for another star date that ties to an event of prophecy in the future. With the Exodus again, remember, all of this has to do with the latter days in the Exodus time period. That's why the Jews celebrate 8 days of Passover. It's because of 8 years of the latter days, 2017 to 2024. And you say, well, that's 7, isn't it? No, you count 2017. And so Joseph Smith has also established for us, as it's also in 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5, that our Christ is a Mormon in the future, that it would have to do with Mormons in the United States of America that would be usurped and would be held in bondage by the great and abominable church. This has already happened. We are in the latter days. We're in the final months of the latter days, because come 3 Nephi chapter 11, it's over. Supposed to be anyway. But the enemy is still planning and preparing with other things after the date. They've got plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, Q, R, S, P, T, U, V. They have wanted this to happen. They are not going to fail. And so they've got all sorts of backups to make sure it happens. And I've been reporting on it all these years, and nobody believes. And yet it's happened. And still nobody believes. And so the United States is the land of Jerusalem. And technically Judah. Jerusalem would be the religious headquarters where the temple is. Can you guess where that is? You shouldn't have to guess. We already know. It's Utah. And it's phonetically the same as Judah. Judah, Judah, Utah. Top of the mountain. So Moses starts off at the top of the mountain, the burning bush. Let my people go. And then comes to the valley with the jolly green giant. These are the patterns. So Matthew, chapter 2. Now the birth of Jesus was on this wise, in Bethlehem of Judea. That's this date in the Book of Mormon. That's the date that the Book of Mormon gets it from in Revelation chapter 12. It's not the birth date. It's the beginning of the latter days. It's patterned after the Exodus. This is the date. The Christ of Mormons starts his ministry to Mormons in Utah, 23rd September 2017. It's already happened. I already know the answer. I have manifested the truth. The science of the date is established, proven, mathematical calculation. To argue it is to deny truth, which makes you a son of perdition. Because if you lie, that's just the telestial kingdom. And so this first year is 2017. It's the President of the United States in 2017 who was put on the throne by a foreign government. Already happened. Already established as fact. And it's right here in the Book of Mormon because of 9/11/1826 in Canandaigua, New York. This was the warning that William Morgan needed to warn us about. Trump was groomed from birth to be this guy. That's why his siblings are a little bit more controlled than he is. And so who's the foreign government? It has to do with the first year and 600 years from that time. Because it's not the birth of Jesus. We were already told it's not. So what are they doing? And we can get to it, but I'll just quickly tell you. There was an annular solar eclipse over Russia on 8 April 4 CE. Exactly to the day of the last day of the latter days, 20 years. Lehi exoduses Jerusalem. Exodus 2020. Joseph Smith Sr. is brilliant. Because what happened in 2020? Well, the Christ stood before Pharaoh's court. Let my people go. Pharaoh said no. Creeping death occurred. Mormons didn't put lamb's blood on their doorposts. The waters were parted. That blew my mind. But nobody listened. So nobody went. And here I am. Book of Mormon is brilliantly constructed. And yet critics are complaining about the plagiarism, and Mormons are saying it's literal history. And so, the first vision occurs for Lehi. That's why Joseph Smith did his 1838 first and second visions, and then some other visions along with it. He's going according to the learning of the Jews. You're not supposed to use Jesus in there. Willard Richards changed the name of Joseph's church to the Church of Jesus Christ, which now reveals, thanks to the church putting out the Joseph Smith papers, that Willard Richards, under Brigham Young, is part of the Danite enemy threat that Joseph Smith talks about in 1838. Do you need to go over this? This is something you do as missionaries, not just church, seminary, and institute. Owing to the many reports which have been put in circulation. Well, who puts the church in circulation? The missionaries. Hey, we got a Book of Mormon here. We're from the Church of Christ, which in 1834 was changed to the Church of Latter-day Saints, and it never was changed by Joseph since then. to his dying day. And so, missionaries are evil-disposed and designing persons in relation to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. They use the abominable Christ to destroy Joseph's church. Right here, verse 1. It already happened. It's an established fact. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the evil and disposed and designing group called the Danites who were militating against Joseph. 1838, after he wrote this, the Mormon war that they framed Joseph for got him locked up in Liberty Jail so that Brigham Young could take over the church. It was a coup. Election fraud, civil war, and a coup. Sound familiar with an election in 2020? It's already an established fact. All prophesied in the Book of Mormon, or revealed because of William Morgan. And so, yes, those in government can be traced thanks to the church releasing before Thanksgiving, rushing it to get published, the Danite loyalty financial ledger. So that we know that our government leaders from Utah are the third great grandchildren of those Danites that Joseph Smith is talking about. And sure enough, they were involved in what their third great grandfathers did. This is the danger that is repeated over and over and over again in the Book of Mormon. And so his second vision, you notice that it's a pillar of fire on a rock. There's a reason for that. It's Urim and Thummim. But it's similar to the burning bush. So he goes back to his home and has his second vision, which is the 23rd of September 2017. This is what Isaiah talks about. This is what Matthew talks about. This is what John in Revelation talks about. This is what everybody talks about. This date. Even Samson talks about it. Even Joseph Smith and Abraham talks about it with the specific facsimiles put in the specific order that he put them in. Only 3. There are many more. Why didn't he do the others? Well, he didn't finish, Travis. Yeah, but he made sure to get those. He didn't finish facsimile 3, but he still put it in. Third Nephi, chapter 11. And so, yeah, when you go over Revelation chapter 12, which they purposely did not footnote for you, because they don't want you to know that this is the date. But the footnoting should take you to Revelation chapter 12. And you should use the Joseph Smith translation, because verse 5 gets moved to verse 3. And it's already confirmed as a proof. It's already happened. China made t-shirts, but they took verse 5 out. They didn't know about verse 5. Oops. Oops. Should I show you the t-shirt? I gotta spend some time. We'll see about putting it in the the video. I think it's the one where I'm wearing glasses. Okay. And so what you have is the more celestial bodies you include, the more precise of a date. And so you can actually do your whole calendar based on the movements of all of the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and the 5 visible planets through the zodiac constellations. And this is how they would write their scriptures and give prophecy of the events to occur on earth. Joseph Smith translation. And so this is a precise date. It only happens once. Likewise, every day is unique. It will never happen again. That's just the way it is, because of the different speeds and way we see it from Earth. Every day is a one-of-a-kind day, a precise calendar date. And so when he says that a woman, that would be Virgo. That's why it's called virgin in Isaiah. Clothed with the sun. The sun is in Virgo every year from the middle of September to the middle of October. Now, if you want to check to prove me wrong that it was Jesus, go right ahead. I'll give you a hint. Because of the passage of time and the rotation of the earth and the spin and the tilting and the way we see the planets and their rate of speed, etc., you have to go back to the middle of August to the middle of September, rather than the middle of September to the middle of October. Just saying, to help you out. But I'm sure you'll get your own Urim and Thummim and you'll prove me wrong, right? Math? Who needs math? It's proving that Jesus isn't real, so it's got to be wrong. And so we now know when during a year it will occur. The moon under her feet, 29.4 days. And so, within that time period, middle of September to middle of October, a maximum of 2. But because it has to be at the feet of Virgo, that limits it. On her head is the constellation Leo. It is designated with only 9 stars. And so 12 stars, which means 3 visible planets. There are 5. So we got to figure out who they are. See if anything else can help us out. So Virgo is pregnant. She's with child. There's only one visible planet that rotates, or retrogrades rather, within each constellation as it goes around. That would be Jupiter, the Roman deity who is the equivalent of Zeus, the Greek deity, who is equivalent to Yah, the Hebrew deity, who is equivalent to Amun, the Egyptian deity. Emmanuel. Amun. A Virgo shall conceive Jupiter and bear a son, but we'll call him Emmanuel, even though it's a planet, not the sun. But there's father and son Amun. So we know one of the 5 visible planets now. So those 3 in Leo are not Jupiter. So now you include verse 5. It's amazing that they figured it out without verse 5. But no, they could easily. I found it without verse 5. I was trying to, because I for some reason did not think to check Joseph Smith translation. And so I was finding them in order, and so I couldn't figure out 5. And then I found the Joseph Smith translation and went, oh, there it is. And so, yes, the birth with God on his throne, the father of Jupiter is Saturn, a visible planet. So the other 3, therefore, are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And it is only one date, 23rd September 2017. And it's right here in Revelation chapter 12, which the document goes all the way back. There is an actual document before Constantine even. And so it is not Jesus, despite what the Catholic Church demands that it be. Monson's death is in here. I've been doing those videos. And so as a result, the president will be put on the throne by a foreign government. I'm surprised they didn't put Facebook in here. And so, exactly like the pattern of the second vision of Joseph Smith, you have Joseph Smith talking about a Urim and Thummim, in which Abraham talks about looking at Kolob, signs in the heavens. And then he talks about a book, the Book of Mormon. Well, Lehi likewise gets a book from the same deity that Joseph Smith gets in his vision, Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday. Verse 9. There appeared a light in my room above the brightness of the sun. It's Emmanuel, even though he says he's Malachi, messenger, and says that his name is Nephi. Again, if Willard Richards got the wrong name of the church, exposing him as the bad guy, are you going to trust him to put Moroni in place of Nephi? This means that the key of Ezekiel 37 for the stick of Judah and the stick of Joseph is not Moroni's key in Doctrine and Covenants 27 verse 5. It is the key of Nephi. Nephi, I already told you, is the new name of the Christ in the Los Angeles Temple, Temple of Angels. Because the prophecies say his parents at the temple, Conception Day, even though the church doesn't allow us to have sex in the temple. I never did do that temple sex video. It's still in the pile there. But it was honeymoon night. All prophesied. And he becomes the Christ in the washings and anointings. To take upon the name of who? What's the name of the Christ? And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints won't tell you. They tell you gotta keep repenting. You just became perfect, according to Joseph Smith. But oops, not anymore. Not in the bondage church. you become Christ. And that's the whole point of the sacrament, is to partake of the body and blood of the Father Christ, Father Amen, who was murdered by his brother and his kingdom usurped. And then his wife conceived and bare a son who grew up to return to establish Zion, restoring the throne of his father. That's why you eat the sacrament. You gather to Zion. It's where the Exodus pattern came from. It's all part of the Jewish or Egyptian temple rituals. But you never think about that because the church won't tell you. And so the Book of Mormon, being the same as the book given to Lehi, talks about the destruction of the Nephites. Book of Mormon, Nephites. But who are the Nephites again? Mormons. The utter destruction of the Mormons. In the second vision, Joseph doesn't put the right wording precisely as it stands in our New Testament, Joseph? Are you sure? But there's some other scriptures when I have done those videos earlier this year. Joseph is warning you. Listen to your Christ. He's trying to save your life so that you can be in Zion and not be murdered for Christmas. Not get in a car accident for Christmas. Not die of a virus for Christmas. And so he sees the destruction of the United States of America, as does Joseph. It's an exact pattern match. Egypt is the United States of America. Yeah. And so we'll do the next part another time. Got a whole bunch of cleaning up to do after yesterday. It was the last box I checked. All the way back in the corner. Alrighty. Another video for you. Are you going to mock me because I testify of your wickedness and your abominations? Oops, I'm jumping ahead.